Hello, welcome everyone. Very happy to be here. Happy Friday and happy Juneteenth. So before we get started with the programming, we at Women in Cloud are honoring and celebrating Juneteenth because our global community thrives on inclusion, empathy, kindness, generosity, and compassion in the pursuit of economic access for all. So, from our board of directors to advisors to our teammates to the in entrepreneurs, leaders, and mentors we support, we aim to ensure our community is inclusive and representative of the world we are seeking to impact. So today, I would like the event to be more intentional with making it conversational, interactive, empowering. Is that all possible? Say yes in the chat. Yes? Go ahead. Use the chat box. Perfect. So I appreciate that. So what we want to do is we are here to really ensure that we are creating a lot of access for each other. But before we get started, I want to know what motivated you to join this event today. Take a moment and share your thoughts. What motivated you to join this event today? Yep, meeting new people, having good conversation, primarily for learning purposes. Yes, your mentor is a presenter, and I know I have a mentor who's presenting too, networking. Fantastic. So what we are here is to create access for each other, to achieve what we want, what we want today and what is happening in our life. I want to know a little bit more about you. So what are the hardest things that you're facing in your life and in your career right now that you need answers and solutions to? Share it in the chat so that it allows all of us to really understand and create a space for creating access for each other. So those of you who don't know me, I am Chaitra Vedalapalli, co-founder and president of Women in Cloud. Women in Cloud is a community-led economic development organization designed to create $1 billion in economic access for female tech founders in partnership with Fortune brands and communities. So we focus on three areas. First, focus on tech entrepreneurship and innovation to foster economic development. Second, build partnership with Fortune brands, entrepreneurs, and community to create an inclusive workspace through job representation. And third, drive a nonpartisan political advocacy to advance policies that create and retain access for women. Due to pandemic, we are all in a global crisis and it's brewing, and they're due to multiple reasons. The first one is the lack of representation. 30 years ago, the computing workforce was at 36%, and as of today, it is 27%. So this has created a gap of 8 million women in the tech workforce, while each business on the planet is becoming a digital business and it's driven by the pandemic. The second one is the increased displacement of women-held jobs. According to the Bureau of Labor statistic, due to the COVID-19 pandemic, more than 4.5 million women were unemployed, and it's estimated 180 million women jobs will be eliminated over the next 20 years as a result of AI transformation, and we all have to keep an eye on that. And third one is lack of supplier diversity allocation. Today, only 3% of the corporate procurement dollars and 5% of the federal contracts are going for women-owned firms. This situation is really made worse by investors reducing the investment in women tech companies, and it is taking less than 2%. So in response to this crisis, we rolled out Fortune 100 initiative. It's a turnkey economic access and equity advancing solution for Fortune brands to come together and collectively solve the gender equity challenges through representation, recruitment, and relationship building. So we reached out to Gina Jorgensen from Google. And when we reached out, she said, yes, I'm here, I'm ready to support. So today we are really excited to host the second Fortune 100 Lunch and Learn series to educate, inspire, and unlock opportunities for each other. And this is a bold commitment to making inclusion happen. And I invite each one of you to make a personal commitment to create economic inclusion for each others. So here are a few ways for you to become the economic igniters. First, nominate companies and people to be recognized. So we have rolled out Empower Her digital advocacy campaign, and the awards are open. And I want all of you to take a moment. It takes 15 minutes, recognize those companies and people so we can recognize who are making a significant difference. The second one is also look for opportunities. And if you're looking for opportunities to connect, to build businesses, to get into the tech force, please join the Microsoft, like WIC Inspire, which is going to happen in tandem with Microsoft Inspire event, really driven for driving all the connections you would need and also networking and opportunities to connect with each other. And it's happening on July 15th and 16th, and I invite all of you. So to give you a surprise, we have a gift for you. So what we are doing is we are giving you is a free ticket that you can come to the event. It is through the sponsors who have made this possible. So please take a moment to register and be here, and really thanking you for being here with us. And that's a gift we are giving to you. So here is the agenda that we want to focus on today. I will have Gina Jorgensen come and do a power talk and moderate a powerful panel. And if you have not seen her panel ever before, it is going to be very empowering and inspiring. We'll have a cloud solutions showcase by a woman tech entrepreneur from our cohort. We'll go into the roundtable discussion. This is a discussion that everyone will be waiting for. We'll have that. We'll come back, wrap it up, close, and do the remarks and understand how it went. So with that in mind, I would like to introduce my friend, mentor, and confidant. Her story is very impressive, and I want to share a story. A year and a half ago, I had gone to have a lunch with her, and we were having Mexican food. And during the conversation, I was saying I need representation. And she stopped and she said, "Girl, don't worry. I will represent you, the WIC, and the entire community. I will represent you." And that statement was so empowering, a leader in a corporate company coming and giving that confidence. And that is Gina Jorgensen. And she's going to take the stage. So what I would like all of you to do is light up the chat by welcoming her, because she's stellar executive and a friend. But a little bit about Gina. Gina began her career starting in nonprofit and healthcare, and then joined Microsoft right out of the Foster School of Business from the University of Washington to work in embedded and accessible technology. She's currently working for Google as a senior marketing leader responsible for driving awareness and adoption of Google Cloud. Prior to that, Gina spent 19 years at Microsoft in various engineering, developer, marketing, and sales roles. And she started 16 years ago and worked in Azure Business since the inception in 2010, focused on partners, startups, go-to-market, and online distribution strategy of the enterprise cloud solution. She originated and grew leading industry programs like Microsoft ISV Wholesale Program. There was a Microsoft GTM Services and Marketplace Rewards. On the personal front, Gina lives in Seattle with her 3 boys. They're so cute and they're amazing, and they love to surf and ski. And she's also very, very active in the Washington State foster care system as a foster parent and a child advocate. With that, Gina, we welcome you to the Lunch and Learn series, and thank you for being here. You have been a phenomenal advocate for women in cloud. So please come on stage.
Hi, everybody. I'm so excited to be here. Can you guys hear me okay? I'm going to say that's a good yes. Awesome. Thanks for everyone in the chat. Thank you so much for having me. And Shai, your introductions are always so wonderfully warm and thoughtful and personal. And I really appreciate that. You have been an inspiration to this entire community. And extensive communities around it. So I appreciate all that you do for not just this community, but everybody. You are a force to be reckoned with. I admire you very much. So thank you. To everyone here joining us, thanks for taking the time out of your day. I know some are taking this day to really invest in their community and learn. And we really appreciate you taking a few moments of today to actually spend that with us on the Google side. So I've got a number of folks here from our Googler team, and we couldn't be any more excited to be here. I thought I'd start by just, before we get into the panel, just telling you a little bit about Google. I think everyone thinks of Google as a big search engine, and it is very much true. But the thing that Google really focuses itself on and is core to its brand is being helpful and of service to others, and really making sure its information is universally accessible and useful to its users. Different to Microsoft and different to an Amazon, it is primarily a consumer-based company in the sense that the vast majority of their business is consumer. Amazon is too, except for when I think about sort of Amazon Web Services, it's all cloud-based, and that's their primary business. Microsoft is a very cloud-centric company. Google is too, across its consumer and commercial businesses. And the folks you have here all represent us on the commercial cloud side on the Google Cloud Platform. So I wanted to just give you an understanding of that. If you, Raisa, if you flip to the next slide, please. This is basically what Google represents. And I did a crude drawing of who's here to represent. We're really, like I said, representing that Google Cloud business today. But there's a number of businesses that Google represents, especially on the consumer side. And as I have been there just about 6 months now, really just incredible to see the vast reach and depth of the Alphabet business across Google. It's just astonishing how they have grown from this small startup essentially to a massive organization that reaches people all over the world. So if we flip to the next slide, there are essentially 9 businesses at the company with over 1 billion users each. And so the reach and expansion of Google is across all of its businesses phenomenal. It is the world's largest database of understanding user intent, what people are searching for, what they're looking for. Every year, Google does this amazing showcase of looking at the year in review and talks about what things were most searched for, and they really touch on the emotional aspect of its users, both on the business side and consumer side, and I really respect and love that about the organization. A lot of you are here today to network and either look for opportunities at Google or figure out how to partner with Google. And if we flip to the next slide, one of the things that's important to understand is how Google's organized first. Just at its core, the core basics across all of its businesses. There's a sales organization. It's very traditional sales in what you think of, right? There's people out selling our services either through partners or direct to consumers and commercial users. Large engineering teams all over the world. A pretty significant marketing muscle. Google is known for being a great viral marketer, and we've gotten a lot of business from really the virality of consumers. And it's a really important function. When you think about how you benefit so much from viral marketing, people think, well, that's not really marketing. What Google does in marketing so exceptionally well is it really touches at the heart and again, the emotion of every user of its services, regardless of what that server is using. The thing that I love that I've really come to understand about Google culture as I've been there a short time is that the user and the customer is at the core and center of everything we do. Everything stops and starts there. So there's never a debate about opinion on how something should get done. You don't get to debate that when the customer is telling you, and you're always starting with, what do they need? How do I be of service to them? And that's what I love is everyone rallies around that common cry for how do we support our users the best. And then there's an organization around partnerships of all sizes, all scopes, from on the commercial side, ISVs and global systems integrators and regional systems integrators and resellers, all the way through to partnerships with content creators and partnerships, obviously, in the advertising space. And so that partnerships is a very core to Google in the way that they go to business. Most people think that they're only a direct company, which they go direct to the user. They do that in many, many ways, Google does, but they also rely on an impressively vast network of partners for both its consumer and commercial businesses. So as we're talking to you guys about cloud and Google Cloud today, if we go to the next slide, a lot of folks here belong to startups, starting their own businesses, growing their businesses. The best way to start thinking about that is to go to something called Google Cloud Partner Advantage. And I put the link in here below for folks. That's the place to get started, and where it can walk you through whatever type of partner you are or whatever you want to do with Google Cloud. That's the best place to start. If you're in the consumer space and you want to talk more about that, you can ping me offline and we can get you connected in the right space. But if most of folks we understand here are focused on cloud and the commercial space. And so that's really the way in which you start your partnership. All right, well, my time is up. And so I wanted to introduce this wonderful group of women. We have two groups of women here today. We have 4 folks who are going to join the panel for me in just a moment. And then we've got an extended group who's also joining us for the networking session. These Googlers, as we call each other, are just phenomenal. They're an incredible group of women. Some I've had the luxury of working with in the past, like Diane Prescott, who she and I worked together at Microsoft, and she's now at Google as well, running business strategy and operations. And others that I'm just newly getting to work with, like Amy Bray. She is the global head of our cloud marketplace. Topaz Slater is what we call our people partner. She is my people partner on all things basically HR related for my business and our broader cloud organization in marketing. And then we have Tara Hernandez, who's also a partner of mine, who is in the developer relations organization, and she represents the engineering side of the house as a senior engineering manager. And so I thought it would be great to bring these 4 women on stage and just do a panel so you guys can hear more about Google. And we're really touching on 3 core areas today based on the feedback from registration and the feedback from Raisa and Shai in terms of putting this session on today. We have culture, which I'm going to ask Topaz and Tara to touch on today. We have talent, which I'm going to ask Topaz to go deeper on since that's her area of expertise. And then we have Amy and Diane, who are going to talk a lot about partnering and alliances and business development and how we think about our customer base. So with that, thank you. There's all my lovely ladies. All right, here we are. Awesome. So I'm going to start with a quick icebreaker, which I'd love for each of you guys to answer, and then we'll go out and we'll have some people answer the next questions. So I'm curious for you guys, what's something that you believed early in your career that you think about differently now than you did 5, 10, 15 years ago? And let's start with Amy. You're not on mute, so I'm going to start with you.
Uh-oh. That's what I get. Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm so thrilled to be here, and welcome to everyone. I love this question. I just started a book called Untamed by Glennon Doyle, which I highly recommend folks check out. She also has an amazing podcast, but her podcast is called We Can Do Hard Things. And when I think about the younger version of myself, I was so intimidated to step outside my comfort zone. And what I've learned as I've become more confident and as I've taken on bigger challenges and been successful in them, that we can do hard things and we can step outside of our comfort zone and shine and find these opportunities to actually really tackle big challenges. So that is my takeaway of what I wish I knew a long time ago.
Are you good to go next?
Sure. This one will be amusing. I used to think I wasn't smart enough to work at Google. I was interviewed, or I was phone screened at Google back in the very early days, around, I want to say 2003 or 4. A lot of the engineers I had worked with at a company I had been at called Netscape Communications had gone off to Google and were part of the founding engineering team. And they're like, oh, you should go talk to Tara. She can do our build infrastructure. And I talked to the recruiter, and the first thing they said was, well, what was your grade point average? And I'm like, well, I went to UC Santa Cruz. We didn't do grades. Well, take a guess. I'm like, well, I wasn't a very good student, so I don't know, maybe a C. Like, oh no, we only hire A students. And what, did you get a master's degree? Like, no. Now, Google was very notorious for this back in the day, and they've since, I think it was 2014, there was a great article about how Google realized that their recruiting process was not actually resulting in the employees that they wanted. And I was like, well, that's great. Maybe they have a little bit more variety. And then when I got the recruiting call 4 years after that, was like, I don't think you guys want to hire me. I'm not smart enough. And yet here I am. So I think it's having both the confidence to recognize my own value as I've grown in my career. And then as an industry, we are also growing to understand that good employees can come from any type of background and any level of skill set. And there is no one signal that can tell us how good an employee is going to be and how much they can contribute.
Yeah.
I love that and agree. Topaz.
Thank you, Gina, and thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. I think I'm gonna have to pull on work-life balance and work-life integration. I think when I started my career, it was all about kind of keeping to a certain set of hours and like figuring out how do you really find that work-life balance, especially very early on. And now I think the global pandemic, and because of the way in which we are all working differently today, has just kind of pressured us all to think about work-life balance differently. But now for me, it's like work-life integration. And I'm a mother of two, have a new 8-month-old baby, and so have been challenged in many new ways to make this new way of working work, and also just figure out how I balance that and also can show up and just it's good enough. It doesn't have to be perfection. It was definitely all about being a perfectionist early on in my career, but I've learned that it's about work-life integration, and it's okay to take time to do work, send emails, and all of that kind of related thing when it works best for you. And so just kind of really living into that integration piece versus it having to be a balance, because it'll never be a perfect balance.
Love that. Madhuri Sharma earlier in the chat was talking about trying to balance being a full-time student and a full-time parent, and was coming here to network and learn some best practices on that. So I think you hit right on that, right? Around not trying to balance, but just trying to figure out how to integrate the two. And it's spot on. All right, Diane.
Yeah, thank you so much. And it's fabulous to be here. So I will say that one thing that I thought early on is that you could have a plan and that things might actually go according to a plan. And the last year has definitely proven to everyone that you can't have a plan. But in general, I would also say that the most interesting, meaty, jobs that I have absolutely ever loved in my career were things that maybe didn't exist when I was graduating college, or that were entirely new and different as a type of work. And so the plan, do the work, have the intention, but you have to also be super open to the opportunities that come, that you stumble across, and take the risk to embrace them, because the things that are scary usually are the things that drive the more impact, and usually aren't the things that you were planning for. And so, none of those plans worked out quite well I expected, but in a lot of ways, that's so for the best. So.
I love that. I love that. I do think when I look sort of at the past too, I think one of the things that was most helpful for me was one of my friends tapped me on the shoulder once and was like, "Why are you talking to yourself with such negative talk?" And I was like, "What?" She's like, "You've never talked to me that way." And it was, how do you enter a room and think everybody in this room is here to support me? And if you go in with that mindset that everyone is there to support you, you'll find that they actually are, for the most part, right? And it's really your own self-talk that is the thing that deters a conversation one way or another. And so I always found that was such an interesting just mindset walking into a room, and the type of energy you bring when you walk into that room, right? And people can see your self-talk, even if you think you're talking to yourself, and your body language. And that was so powerful to me to realize, oh, that was just an entire mind shift in my own head, right? And that was so awakening. All right, we're going to go into the first section of topics called culture. And so this one was for Tara and Topaz, if you guys are okay to answer. I'd love for you just to give me an understanding, because you guys have both spent time at Google. What do you think, just to kind of just elaborate on what you think Google culture is like in like a sentence or two, and then what are we doing to really foster diversity, equity, and inclusion across the company?
Topaz, you first.
Of course. So I've been with Google for 2 years. Actually just celebrated what we call our Googleversaries, Google anniversary in June. And I have to throw a plug out. If you haven't had a chance to take a look at it, I would recommend you looking at our diversity report that we publish on an annual basis. There is amazing information in there where we share our progress on all of our DEI commitments. And what I love about what I've seen at Google and how I see that we look at DEI is that there's an understanding that there is still so much work to do in this space. We are always learning, and we approach this work with that in mind. And the way we back up the work and the way we kind of substantiate the commitments that we make is by getting advice from trusted advisors and experts, by using a lot of data and lots of empathy when we think about how this work impacts not only internally our employees, but our customers and the world, all around the world that we're trying to impact. When we think about building our products and the solutions that meet the needs of those users, it's the diverse mix of Googlers that we have in our organization and on the teams that build the products that really make them meet the needs of our users. And so what that means is that having Googlers with different backgrounds, perspectives, experiences to make up those teams or to be a part of those teams is where we really focus our attention. We also focus our efforts on building a more diverse Google through how we find talent and hiring Googlers from groups that have been historically underrepresented in the technical industry. So like today, getting the chance to spend time with all of the amazing women in this event, as well as communities like our Black, Latinx, Hispanic, veterans, people with disabilities. I have to say, I'll pause and I'll let you talk, Tara, but I'm just so proud to work for a company that doesn't just talk the talk, but we actually walk the walk, and we continue to find new ways of embedding DEI in everything that we do. And just like one example I'll use is how we embed DEI in our benefits, and to throw kind of a shout out in honor of Pride Month, just to highlight that we've recently changed our healthcare policy to add in an addition to offer additional coverage for same-sex spouses and partners. We cover the cost of additional taxes for same-sex couples on that healthcare, and just a number of other benefits around that. And we're continuing to review and make improvements. I couldn't be more proud to be involved in this work and be able to speak about it and the efforts that Google makes. Tara, hand it over to you.
I'll have to follow that. So, I think we can acknowledge that, Google's a huge company, and usually when you see things in this vein, it's bad press, right? And bad news sells. And like many companies, that has been a challenge at Google. But I think it's also really important to call out what I think are the values that Google brings. From a technical perspective, Google reveres the idea of innovation. This idea of how do we further bring anyone's ideas to market, and sometimes that results in a lot of Google products that get launched, then maybe they get deprecated. That's a whole other discussion. Sorry, reader, we remember you. But we look at things like let's talk about like Byteboard. Byteboard was a spinoff that Google has sponsored, that was spun off by two women who said, how can we improve the accessibility of the technical interview process? And so now it's a service that simplifies for some people their ability to express what their technical capabilities are without going through the dreaded whiteboard interview, which with pandemic has increased in difficulty for many people. And this has hugely enabled women to more successfully participate, right? This is something that Google has invested in. These two women are like, we have an idea, Google invested in it, and now it has gone to market. The other thing I think is worth calling out, that Google really believes in the idea that good ideas can not only come from anywhere, but good technical practitioners can also come from anywhere. I was on a panel for Google Women Engineering Interns a couple of years ago. And one of the other women on a panel was a software developer who had started out in HR, right, at Google. And so she was given the support and the space to develop her technical skills. And she moved into software development, which, as many of you know, it's very difficult to become a software developer at Google. Another example within the Cloud DevRel organization in particular, we have an ongoing partnership with a bootcamp program. So, to help women who are maybe reentry or switching in industries. We also internally have what's known as the Developer Academy, again, to try and foster opportunities for people who are interested in changing their careers, moving into the technical space, because again, Google has this cultural focus on innovation, and that innovation can and should come from a variety of sources, right? That idea of diversity, it's not just an ethical thing. It is what is critical for us to succeed as a business, and it is critical for us to succeed as an industry, right? There are 7 billion people in the world, and we are not all the same, and we're not all going to do the same things, purchase the same service, have the same needs. So the more that we have that representation in our employee base, the more we're able to engage the world the way that we try to engage the world.
I love that. And you guys actually already hit on the second topic of talent and hiring. So I think, especially given the time, we've got about 8 minutes left. We'll switch over to how to partner on the alliance and business development side with Diane and Amy, if you guys are okay with that. And then at the end, if we've got moments, we can circle back to a last question I have for each of you guys. Okay, so for Diane and Amy, I'm curious from your perspective. There's lots of folks on here who are interested in learning how to partner with Google. There's lots of opportunities and tons of businesses. So I'm wondering, Amy, if you can just touch on, I know we talked about Partner Advantage, just maybe even give an example of what you've seen Google do for their partners, or a way in which people can engage Google on the cloud side from a partner standpoint.
Yeah, absolutely. I can definitely do that. The first thing, the link that Gina shared, and she said this, but just to reiterate, on the Google Cloud side, we've got a really rich partner program called Partner Advantage. And it's really easy to become a Google Cloud partner. So you start at the member level, and you can literally do it within minutes via the Partner Advantage portal. So I highly recommend you all check that out. The cool thing about Partner Advantage is that it has a very easy user journey for you partners to help figure out how to move through our ecosystem and start to engage in a more meaningful way. So that's a great starting place on the cloud side. Another thing that I'll share, so I work on the marketplace team, and in the marketplace, we really have this vision that our marketplace should be as diverse and rich as Tara and Topaz were sharing with our candidates and our employees and our customers. And so we have this vision that the marketplace also needs to be a place with deep diversity and different types of solutions and different types of assets. And so we're really using the Google mission about making sure that we're providing information to all of our users that's helpful, using that as a guiding principle in how we build out our products. So that's a great place as well for partners to start to engage in our marketplace. And it's a great way to get access to our customers, and also just a way to surface information. So definitely start with Partner Advantage and move through that journey. And then the last thing that I'll share, Gina, and then hand it over to Diane, is for folks here that are part of startups or smaller either tech companies or even user consumer companies, there are tons that you can partner with Google. And so again, we're super dedicated to making sure that our services are accessible for everyone. So you can start with Grow with Google, which is a great place to start, and there's lots of opportunities to partner through that. Diane, I'll hand it to you.
And Diane, I'm going to actually ask you a question on the customer side. You do strategy and operations, so you get to see Amy kind of covers off on the partner side, and you get to see sort of the customer landscape and the types of opportunities there are for partners who are on this call. Can you just give us an understanding of the customer landscape and how we're thinking about industry and anything that you think is interesting for this audience to understand more about how we approach our customer base?
Absolutely. And it's super interesting because there is a fascinating tension with cloud and cloud platform has been, we're coming up on 15 years since Amazon first launched, for example, and yet it is still a relatively tiny percentage of all of IT spend. There is so much growth still to come. And as part of that, I think the application modernization approach, how are companies able to re-architect applications to better take into account serverless technologies and dynamic scale, leverage the benefits of doing integration of vertical and horizontal scale databases. Google's reputation and experience with databases and data analytics is phenomenal. And so we see a lot of demand from customers around being able to really take control of that data estate, leverage the learnings across a bunch of different types of data. And so the ability to make sure that our customers are able to modernize and able to take advantage of those new technologies, and also things like Kubernetes and serverless, which are part of modern app architectures, is really critical, because there is a vast estate of applications on-prem with old hardware in old architectures that have an incredible opportunity to add more value to organizations, to take data from silos into data lakes and other data structures so that you can get that broad access to it. And so it seems on the one hand, especially if you've been in cloud for a while, that it's old hat and everybody's doing it, but it is still super early, and there's a huge opportunity also to help people ramp up on skilling and understand those technologies. So if you're a partner that's helping customers do the modernization, do migration, and also partners that are helping people learn those skills to be able to build modern cloud applications, there's a lot of support for all of those through Google.
Great. So I'm going to put you guys on the spot with one surprise question. And it's a question I get asked every time I talk to somebody, which is, if in one word or one sentence, what do you love best about working for Google? Or you can say, what word do you think best represents Google at large?
Well, I'll take the one.
Okay. No, please.
I'll take the one sentence. I am never bored.
I'll do a one sentence. I adore my coworkers.
I'll build on that one sentence. I love being able to work with the brilliant minds that are my fellow coworkers.
Yeah. I'll push myself and do the one word. My word is kindness. And I have never worked with people that really genuinely lead with kindness.
Oh yeah.
Any place else like Google.
Yeah.
Good. I love that. I think that's it's so true. I've always just admired from Google from afar in terms of its tenacity and its altruism and its notion of being of service to its communities that it supports. I just think that's just phenomenal, and that just sort of speaks to my heart about how do you be of service to those around you. And I love that. But Amy, I think your word of kindness, it blew me away coming to Google. And again, it was this notion of everybody starts with, how can I help? Yeah. Or the other great thing is, okay, so what does the customer want? We always agree, like we may not always agree on how to get something done, but we agree that it always starts with the customer. And it takes all the debate out front of like, why are we even doing this? Because if the customer needs it and there's a market need for it, that just sort of dissolves all of the friction around, and everyone just joins forces to go do the right thing for the customer. And in that case, the customer can be a partner or an individual or a customer organization. But I love that. I just really, it just sort of speaks to my heart every time I think when somebody asks me that question, and it's such a common question I get. So you guys are amazing at letting me cold call on you and put you on the spot. I appreciate that immensely. We have about 1 minute left. Do you guys have any parting words for the audience or anything else you feel like you'd like to share with this group, knowing it's a vibrant community of women trying to do great in the world and bring their ideas to life?
One thing I'd like to just call out, and it kind of builds on what Diane was saying, which is the cloud itself. And the thing that makes me want to be in Google Cloud more than any other organization in the Google ecosystem is the cloud itself is inherently a force for inclusion. It used to be that you had to know, in the case of Google, somebody who had a garage space that they were willing to rent you. You had to be able to have the credit cards to max out at the store to buy the hardware that you needed in order to start a company. Now you can pay for resources by the second. You can do development on your mobile phone, which is actually the number one way that development happens in Africa, for example. I recently read an article about that. And that itself, lowering the bar for how we can support entrepreneurs and new businesses using cloud as a platform is, I think, one of the most transformative and powerful things about it. And I'm proud to be part of Google Cloud for that reason.
I have to throw a shameless plug. We do have a member of our staffing team with us today, Marina Bogle. So if anything we've talked about hits home and inspires you, please seek her out and join her table when you can.
Excellent. All right. Thank you guys so much for being on the panel. Folks in the audience, I hope you enjoyed it. These are an amazing group of women, and our networking group of women is also equally wonderful. So thank you for being here with us, panel, and look forward to having you guys in the networking session. And I will turn it back over to Raisa for the next section on the Solution Showcase.
All right. Thank you so much, ladies. What a great conversation. I saw the chat was lighting up, just responding. I was firing away links for all of those things you recommended. I'm really looking forward to diving deeper there. And I know that the people that are joining us today are so excited to get to the part of networking. So while we go on to the Cloud Solution Showcase, ladies, all you have to do is just click mic off, camera off, and it will take you off the stage. So next up, I'd like to introduce Sanjana Goval. She is a wonderful entrepreneur that's a part of the Women in Cloud ecosystem. And she's actually a part of our current 5.0 cohort. And she'll be sharing some information with us today and doing a little bit of a demo. So I'll give you an introduction. So Sanjana is, sorry, just let me fix my screen. So Sanjana is actually a development sector professional. She has over 8 years of experience as a strategic advisor and a research expert for leading philanthropic foundations. And she also takes part in impact investment funds, social enterprises, and nonprofits for India, the UK, and USA. She's passionate about putting underprivileged communities and their voices at the center of social impact work. Sanjana holds an MBA from the University of Oxford and a bachelor's, an honors bachelor's from the National Law School of India University. So with that, Sanjana is going to be presenting today on her solution, Unseen Insight. And Sanjana, I welcome you to come on stage and share about your solution, yourself, and what problems you're solving in the enterprise space. Welcome, Sanjana.
Thank you so much, Raisa. It's lovely to be here, and thank you for this opportunity. And just take a second to share my screen. I hope you can all see that. So hello, everyone. My name is Sanjana, and I am the founder and CEO of Unseen Insight. I'm really happy to be here today and have a quick shout out to my COO, Tony Chan. Tony, if you're on the call, do say hi to everyone in the chat. I'm here to speak to you today about how our solution empowers funding organizations like the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation to take action in times of crisis by unlocking the hidden insights in the community feedback that they collect from the communities they serve. So as Raisa mentioned, I have about a decade of experience working in philanthropy and in the development sector as a field researcher. And I came across this strange dichotomy or paradox where the funders at the top of this umbrella would often lament that there just wasn't enough data or the right data for them to make decisions. But at the same time, I knew from my interactions with NGO leaders and communities on the ground that there was just so much rich data being collected every day through surveys and focus group discussions and interviews, and it just was not reaching decision makers at the top. And this issue really came to a head in 2020 when the migrant crisis hit India because of COVID-19. And when COVID-19 hit, 11.4 million migrant workers were immediately left stranded in the metropolitan areas of the country. And they were left to walk thousands of kilometers to get back home to their families. Now, relief organizations were facing an unprecedented situation. And they just did not know who to help first and what kind of help to send out. So what they did was they spent thousands of dollars on rapid assessments, and every organization was going out trying to collect data as quickly as they could from migrant workers. And it resulted in a situation where these workers were receiving 3 to 4 phone calls a day, asking them various questions about what their needs were. So if I was to ask you what proportion of these migrant workers actually received aid after all of this effort, I'd have to tell you that sadly the answer is less than 10%. So 90% of workers received little to no benefits, and 6 months on, the government had no numbers on what migrant deaths were or what migrant worker job loss numbers were. And the question really is, why was this happening? Clearly the data was being collected, but the tools just didn't exist to effectively analyze this data. And this was what we wanted to solve. So 60% of nonprofits surveyed by the World Bank say that they have more data than they can analyze effectively. 80% of this data is unstructured, meaning that it's open text collected from the community members that organizations are serving. And this contains really rich insights. Funders recognize this because 88% of them say that community feedback is one of the highest priority measures of impact. But only 13% are actually using it because they cite a lack of resources and time as their biggest barrier, and a lack of tools and resources as their biggest barrier. So we wanted to solve this problem using machine learning. And here's an example from a client that we work with of what this data looks like. So our client conducts feedback surveys on behalf of nonprofits in the US. So if you're somebody who's been through a homeless shelter, for example, you will answer a survey about what that homeless shelter does well and what it could do better. And as you can see, they've collected this data. They've collected 80,000 responses over several years, and it's stored in this kind of an Excel sheet, which is really, really difficult for them to analyze manually. So what we did was we created a tool that allows them to upload this messy Excel sheet. And within seconds, our algorithm is able to identify the dominant themes and topics in that community feedback and provide a table of the 30 most representative feedback comments. And each of those comments is sorted by a particular theme. We're able to provide sentiment analysis so that our clients can understand the dominant mood of the community when it comes to different interventions. And we provide a topic distribution where our clients can view a breakdown of the main topics that are being raised in the feedback. And so for our client, this enabled them to identify that community engagement and atmosphere was what was most important across their feedback responses. To about 80% of feedback responses were just about how people felt in the nonprofits that they were that served them, irrespective of whether that was an education nonprofit or a healthcare nonprofit. They wanted to feel like they were heard. So we were able to unearth insights like that for them that till that point in time they had not known before. So what we want to do for our clients is help them see the insights that they need when they need them the most. And so we're able to save them hundreds of man hours. To give you an idea, our machine analyzed this data in less than 2 minutes. It would have taken a researcher 100 weeks to do the same thing. We're able to offer full control of 100% of the data to our clients, including that messy 80% that's unstructured. We're able to allow our clients to hone in on the most representative feedback in all of the data that they collect. And we provide a quarterly infographic that provides portfolio-wide insights for our clients to learn and share from. So this was what was missing when COVID hit India last year. Our clients just didn't have the tools to know what help to send out first and who to help first. They of course were able to pick up the phone and call experts, but experts are only able to see a small fraction of what is a very, very complex problem. And so our vision is, how can we use technology to amplify the voices of this community and tell a collective story of what's working and what's needed next? So we'd love to partner with you. If you think that your organization could benefit from this technology, please feel free to reach out to me. And if you're a techie or a data scientist who thinks that this is an intriguing problem and you'd like to work with us, come join our team. Thank you so much for the opportunity today, and looking forward to speaking with you all in the lounge afterwards.
Thank you so much, Sanjana. What a great presentation. And, we really love being able to showcase the successes and the innovative solutions that are developed by our entrepreneurs in the ecosystem. So we would love the opportunity for the folks that are here as well to have the chance to meet with you in the virtual lounge experience that we're about to dive into. So with that, I'm going to ask you, Sanjana, to just go ahead and click mic off, camera off, and I'll start sharing a bit about the next experience that we have. So before we dive into that, I really want to invite the entrepreneurs that are here today to really take part in completing the 2021 edition of the COVID-19 Impact Survey. That's where we will get more information about how your business has been impacted by the pandemic, and you can share, what if you've had any struggles, if your business has actually succeeded even more during this time. We did our initial report back in 2020, and this 2021 report will allow us to do a comparative display of what's going on in the world today in terms of women tech entrepreneurs, and really develop programming that you want and need, right? So with that, let's dive into the advisory roundtables. This part is one of my favorite experiences at the cloud, and a lot of our communities and community members really love to take part in this experience. So this is an opportunity where you get to meet in small groups and become engaged and curious and unlock access. So now the time does pass a little bit quickly as we go through this because it's such a great experience, but you will have time to meet Google leaders, other attendees, and the speakers that were on the panel in this networking lounge. So you saw a video earlier at the start of the event about how to move around the lounge. So I won't spend too much time on that. But first, I would like to actually introduce the roundtable advisors that you're all going to be able to meet with today. So I'm going to invite Gina, Amy, Tara, Topaz, Diane. You guys can click your mic on, camera on. I'll also get the other ladies that are joining us. Marina, I'll give you access to come on. Laura, okay. And then we have Natalie coming. Welcome, ladies. And then we're going to have Aja join us as well. Okay, welcome everyone. And great. Okay, so we have everybody here. So I need, I want Tara, if all you have to do is turn your mic and camera on. So what I'll do for just a sec is have each of you take a moment to share with us what you're going to be talking about at your table. You know, share your name and your topic of focus. But we'll go around as well, and I want you to share your word of intention for the day. And those of you that are watching in the chat, you know, let us know who you're most excited to meet with, what conversation, and what you're most looking forward to learning about today before we dive into that. So Aja, I'll start with you.
Hi, I'm Aja. I am one of Tara's peers in the developer relations team at Google. I manage the developer relations team itself. And my intention for today is humility and acknowledging that I don't know everything. And I want to learn from all these fantastic people here at this event today. I'm going to be at one of the 2 tech leadership and culture tables. And the thing that I'm most passionate about talking about is sharing ideas and learning from each other about how we can create environments in tech as technical leaders that support all different types of people with all different backgrounds succeeding and thriving in tech, because we all know we all belong here. Let's figure out how we can make environments where everyone can be successful.
Thank you, Aja. Amy, how about you?
Cool. Okay, I'm going to be at the channel and business development table. And my word of intention today is to empower. I just think this community and having these types of events is so fulfilling for me personally. I've been a member of the Women in Cloud organization for years, and I just, I enjoy seeing other female rock stars and meeting them and getting to know them. So that's my word of intention, and I'm looking forward to meeting many of you at my table.
Love that. Diane, how about you go next?
Fabulous. So I will be at the corporate development table, which is a very broad business set of terms. So part of what we'll be digging into is what are the different ways of growing business. And so we will absolutely, as part of the table, identify some of the best places to go for that, because there is revenue growth, customer growth, business growth in partnership, all those components. And to that end, I will take growth as my word of intention for the day and for the conversation, because there is so much opportunity to get to learn from the diverse perspectives of the people at the table, the people at the conference, and it's already been a fabulous learning opportunity. So, thanks.
Excellent. Growth. That's what we're all about today, taking action towards acceleration and growth. So Gina, you next.
Yes. Hi, everybody. I'll be at the co-sell and channel opportunities table. My word of intention for today is fun. I feel like we all need to have a little bit of fun. So that's it for me.
Laura, you next.
Everyone, Laura Cañate. I work in diversity, equity, inclusion in the marketing team. So I help support the efforts of the cloud marketing team. My word of intention today is authenticity, because I'm really excited to talk with you all at the DEI and human resources table about how do you transform your department and make and your company or organization and make commitments that you feel you're authentic to, but also challenge the spaces that we're in to make room for everyone.
Excellent. Making room. Love that. Marina, you next. What's your word of intention for today?
I am going with helpfulness. I will be at the recruiting table. So if you are interested in or contemplating making moves in your career within cloud, growing your cloud team, any of the above, I'd love to talk staffing, recruiting, growth, opportunities, just how sharing knowledge.
Thank you, Marina. Natalie.
I will be at the digital marketing table, and my word of intention is creativity. I think in marketing that we have so many opportunities to do such incredible things, and I think we'd all say that a lot of enterprise marketing can be pretty boring. So how can we up level all the things we are doing to really start to have a lot of fun with marketing? And I'm going to give another shout out to Marina. We have so many roles open. She is my recruiter. We are working together. We are partnering. Please reach out to her because we have such great roles on the team right now, and we'd love to talk to you.
Tara.
Word of the day is teamwork. Having a good corporate culture at all levels, from squad levels with the frontline manager all the way up through organizations and the company as a whole, is a critical part of how companies I feel are successful. And as a DevOps nerd, I will go on and on about this. There's elements of both sort of the mechanics and the policies that we have as organizations that also tie in to not only DEI, but productivity and efficiency. And I'm happy to nerd out with all of those topics at links.
Perfect. And then last but certainly not least, Topaz.
Thank you, Risa. I will be at the DEI and HR table. And my word of intention for the day is celebration. So celebrating Juneteenth, celebrating the fact that we get to be here with all of you, and then celebrating each of you individually as amazing women in the cloud and tech space.
Thank you so much, ladies, for sharing that. Some comments in the chat about folks getting very excited to meet with you. And thank you again, really, for extending your time and openness here. So with that, I'm going to transition us back to the virtual lounge. And for all of you out there that are looking to meet with these ladies, don't forget to move around to the different tables. All you have to do is double click on an open seat and it'll take you to that table. You can zoom in and zoom out to see the names at the bottoms of the tables if you're looking for a specific one. And we'll come back in about 20 minutes just to hear what your key takeaways were and do a little bit of closing remarks. So with that, I'll take you back into the lounge. See you there. Welcome back, everyone. How was that? I mean, I know that is one of the favorite experiences, and I know for me, I really enjoyed getting to meet some people in the lounge. So take a moment and really reflect on what you learned today. I want you to think about what your key takeaway was. And in fact, what I'd really like to do is invite one of you that's feeling brave, just click on the raise hand icon. And I want to hear from you what the experience was like for you today and what you took away from it. So at the bottom of your screen, if you're feeling brave, just go ahead and click that raise hand icon and I'll with me. Okay, great. So we have Farah joining, and I'll also have Christine join. So let's hear from both of you. You should see a pop-up on your screen. So Farah, welcome, and Christine, welcome to you as well.
Hello, everyone.
Hey, how's it going?
Great.
I just want to say this has been so fantastic and with such an amazing group of women. It's just, I'm so proud of everyone. I know I don't want to sound like I'm your grandmother, but it's just so amazing. And one thing that's just helped me today is just boost my energy. I was just talking in another table that, like I'm in the process of looking for a job and opportunities, and I'm aiming high. So I've just been feeling a bit deflated just with, not going with the process. So this has been such a spirit booster. So thank you so much.
Great, Farah. Thank you so much for that feedback. And Christine, how about you? What was the experience like for you today, and what's your key takeaway from the experience?
Yeah, and thank you so much. I really appreciate this, Riza, and for all of the leadership and everyone on this call today. Honestly, this was amazing. I'm just so glad I was able to join this. I would say key takeaway is the theme that I think I put up in the beginning, right? Woman empowerment. The power of women being in technology, really being able to push the themes and the movement forward. I definitely think in this world, we're still dealing with a lot of inequalities on many different levels, but the more connections, the more we're speaking with each other, the power of globalization, actually the power of COVID being able to accelerate all of this, I think is just so powerful. And I honestly feel blessed that I was able to join this today. I'm looking forward to the next one, and I'm looking forward to keeping the conversation going. So cheers, and everyone have a great weekend.
Thank you so much, Christine and Farah. So, and thanks for sharing with us. I'm going to have you just click mic off, camera off, and we'll continue hearing from folks. So there's a couple things I want to share with you as we close. Some opportunities. So in the chat, type a Y in the chat if you are an entrepreneur. Go ahead and let me know in the chat. Excellent, excellent. So there's a couple opportunities that are coming up. So I want to give you a couple of things you can take advantage of. So first off, this is not related to the slide that's showing, but we do have the Cloud Innovator Pitch Challenge that's coming up. And I want to invite you all to apply, right? So you'll have the chance to win $5,000 in cash and cloud credits, where Women in Cloud is doing this in partnership with TIE Seattle. And the winner will actually go on to have the chance to win $100,000 at TIE Global Pitch Challenge. So take advantage of that. And we do have the launch of the 6.0 cohort of the Cloud Accelerator that's coming up as well. So if you want to learn how to co-build, co-market, and co-sell with Microsoft and hyperscalers, please be sure to click on that link in the chat to learn more about how you can grow your business there. And then we spoke a bit early on in the session about Empower Her Access and the campaign there. And yes, Donna, even if you pitched before, you can apply to pitch again. This is an opportunity that we want everybody to take advantage of. And don't be shy about sharing these opportunities with others in your network as well. So we do have the Empower Her Access campaign. This is where you can give back by nominating leaders and companies that have made a difference during COVID for women and their businesses impacted by COVID. You can take the COVID-19 impact survey if you're a woman entrepreneur. And also you can take the pledge. And this pledge is really to show that you are aligned with continuing to create economic access for women in technology. And then a few other things here. We do have an opportunity for those that are job seekers and looking to up-level their skill game. We have Azure skilling scholarships that are available, and you can take advantage of those. It is open to every folks worldwide. Of course, priority is made to women, but we welcome everyone to apply for that opportunity. And then finally, join the WIC Digital Network. You know, we are a community. This is a community of giving and getting access. You'll have the chance to connect with other active members in the Women in Cloud ecosystem, get access to updates and early information, special offers, and you know, meet and engage with others in the community. So finally today, you know, this has been such a great experience. I want to really acknowledge the Google team for stepping up and raising their hands to participate here and share all of this information for our entrepreneurs, our job seekers, and everybody in the community. And I want to acknowledge as well and thank our incredible Women in Cloud team that have all worked together to make this experience possible. Chaitra, Erin, Stevia, Fernanda, Grace, Olivia, and Vinay all had a part in architecting this transformative experience to advance the community. So again, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. And you can also share your key takeaways in our Kudo board if you'd like later on today. And we welcome you to stay in touch and stay connected. Thank you, everyone, again for joining, and have a great weekend. Bye-bye.